No problem. I'm just recording this, so unfortunately, if anyone doesn't agree with the recording, they'll have to leave. Just a fair warning. How would you like me to put this podcast after? Do you want to just put it on the website, or like I can make it free for everyone to view, or how would you like that?
Could we have it free so we could all view it, or have friends listen to it as well?
That's no problem. I can do that, absolutely. So the reason I want to do this one... Yeah, no problem. Sorry, you were saying something. Sorry, there's a half-second delay. I don't mean to sound like I was over-speaking. Sorry.
So thank you so much.
No problem. So the reason I'm doing this one specifically is because there's a lot of questions. Well, I'm getting a lot of questions around limited companies and limited companies. Is it right for me? Is it not right for you? So it will all depend on your circumstances, you know. It really all depends on you. We're all adults and we all have to make our own choices in regards to this, of what we want to do, you know. I'm going to go through, the pros and cons of each one, the risks, some case law examples, and then I'll take some questions after the presentation. I'm not going to lie, this presentation...
information is gold.
Yeah. But this presentation is going to be a bit longer than my other one, so just prepare yourself. If people are...
I have my pen and paper ready to go.
No problem.
All right, I'm going quiet now. Thank you, Tegan. God bless.
No problem. I said I'll start. I'm only going to start in a couple of minutes, so if anyone has a quick question or something beforehand, happy to discuss with you. Just please raise your hand so I know who I'm talking with. No questions are also good.
I do have a question, but I don't know how to raise my hand.
Okay. Yeah, go for it. Gabby, is it?
Yes.
And
my question is simply because I haven't put myself into the private, which I'm trying to do, but I'm confused because I've got 2 birth certificates and I've got a German nationality at the moment. And I've got settled status in the UK, so that's... But I've been told I need to go to Germany and get myself out of that system first before I can do anything further. But I don't know if you have any insight into that.
Yeah, so mainland European countries use tort or civil contract law in the courts. So it's slightly different to the English ones where they say they use common law as such. So, for example, it's very easy to prove, for example, in mainland European courts or private companies, because they're normally registered on the equivalent of the company's house.
Yes.
So it would be quite easy for you to prove that. Now, in regards to your settled status, you have an option either to become a citizen of England or keep your citizenship in Germany, or maybe... Going to mute. So you can either choose to become a citizen of both or whatever you want. So in regards to your birth certificate, that's not really going to change though. So if you did want to do like an enrolled depot, you wouldn't be able to do it through the Royal Courts of Justice. You'd have to do it through a German.
I would have to. Yes, that's what I was. So I'm basically listening and then translate the whole thing over to the German system.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. Right. But I don't know exactly 100% how that would work, right? Because if you check like German, as I said, courts and stuff like that, they're all companies, and you can find it registered on the equivalent of the company's house in Germany. So, for example, I was doing some research into the Dutch courts in the Netherlands,
Yes.
And their court system, 100% they're registered on the equivalent of the company's house. They have a company registration number and everything. They call it a KVK in the Netherlands. From my research, and you can find that all out. Well, when you're in England, it's a little bit more tricky. You can find the DUNS number and stuff, but they're registering the corporation privately and it's not being disclosed. So they're registering it in a certain location where they're not disclosing that information. So it's making it a bit more tricky to go after them,
Yes. Okay.
So
thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I said happy after the presentation as well. I'm sure there's going to be loads of questions. So I'm going to start sharing my screen.
Yeah.
Bear with me. Go into the presentation. So yeah, let's start. So this presentation is about unlimited companies and limited companies. So we're going to understand basically the risks, the pros, the cons, and potential legal implications. We're going to discuss that. So obviously, copyright notice. This will be free and open to everyone to view on my channel, but please don't save it and then distribute it that way. Obviously, legal disclaimer. So I'm not legally qualified. I don't assert to be legally qualified. Anything I say should not be considered legal advice. If you want legal advice, please go to a qualified legal expert. So first of all, we're going to look at key definitions, because a lot of people are saying unlimited and limited companies. And what exactly does that mean? So we're going to start here at the basis, moving on. So a limited company, that's a type of entity where a liability is limited to the amount of shareholders invested in the company. So for example, the company exists as a separate legal entity from its owners. So you can look at like Apple, BP, British Petroleum, Tesco, etc. The difference with an unlimited company is that's a type of company where the shareholders have unlimited liability for the company's debts, right? What I mean by that is if a company can't pay the debts, the shareholders must pay using their personal assets. An example of this would be a family-owned business, professional partnership, private firms that prefer less disclosure. And if they go in debt, they can, for example, if you have a house, an asset, car, savings, they can go after those private assets. So there's no separation between the entity and your assets. So the history of an unlimited company, where did it come from, right? So unlimited companies have been around since the early development of corporate law in the 19th century. What I mean by this is in the UK, I'm saying the UK specifically because we're talking about companies, they were formed to recognize, they were formally recognized by the Joint Stock Companies Act of 1844. So this legislation was one of the first major steps towards regulating companies in the UK. And this was allowing businesses to register and gain their legal recognition. This was also the time when the councils started becoming companies as well. So initially, companies formed under this act, they did not have limited liability. That meant that the shareholders, of course, at that time were fully liable for the company's debts, much like unlimited companies today. So the concept of a limited liability, where shareholders' liability is restricted to the investment in the company, that was introduced later in the Limited Liability Act of 1855. However, unlimited companies continued to exist after that as an option for those who preferred like more privacy in their financial affairs, or where the shareholders wanted to signal a high degree of commitment to their company obligations. Obviously, now we're going to discuss the risks and the pros and cons of this as we go on. So if we look at a limited company structure, how is its limited company set up and structured? So what happens is you have a separate legal entity. So the company itself is responsible for its debts and obligations. The liability lies with the shareholders and is limited to unpaid shares or personal guarantees. So you're protecting your personal assets. And the continuity is the business continues even if the ownership or management changes, right? So an example of this would be XYZ Limited has debts of £100,000, but the shareholders only lose the value of their initial investment, right? So personal assets are safe unless the personal guarantee was signed. Now, when you look at an unlimited company, you have unlimited liability, and this means the shareholders' personal assets are at risk. They must settle the debts beyond the company assets. So what that means is it's a non-separating legal entity. So the company doesn't exist in isolation. So personal and business financial liabilities can overlap. An example of this would be ABC Unlimited owes £500,000. And in that situation, the shareholders must cover the debt with their personal assets if the company's assets are insufficient. So obviously financial risk and breakdown. So we're going to start with the limited company here. So the protection is shareholders can limit their losses to shareholding. Personal guarantees. So some lenders may ask for personal guarantees. This would then expose personal assets despite being in a limited liability. And then, of course, the bankruptcy risk. So the company can declare bankruptcy, but the shareholders' homes, savings, and are protected unless there's a personal guarantee was given. So quick example of this would be if in the Carillion PLC collapse, shareholders only lost their investment in the shares, but creditors could not seize their personal assets. Now, if we look at the financial risks of an unlimited company, personal assets would be at risk in this situation. So creditors can claim shareholders' personal assets. So they can go after your home, your savings, your investments to pay off the company debts, right? And then there's risk of an insolvency. So in the case of an insolvency, shareholders bear the full burden. And what I mean by that is personal bankruptcy is a possibility in that situation. So an example of this would be a construction firm operating as an unlimited company becomes insolvent and owes, say, for example, £1 million, that means the creditors successfully seize the shareholders' personal homes and savings to cover their losses, so they can come after your assets. And we look at operational risks and challenges of a company now. I say this if you have a trading company, right? So we're going to look at a limited company in this instance. So compliance costs. So more reporting and compliance obligations. So what I mean by this is you have to file your annual accounts. There's public disclosure. I can go in company's house and I can see all that information if I wanted, you know. Audit requirements. So for larger companies, audits are mandatory, and that basically increases operational costs. So you would have PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers would have come in and they'd audit your accounts, you know, the big accounting firm, and say, where did this money go? So you have piercing in the corporate veil. So in extreme cases of fraud or misconduct, courts can pierce this corporate veil and hold shareholders personally liable. That's very rare though, and in the case of fraudulent activities only. So an example of this would be in the case of Press versus Petrodel Resources Limited. This was in 2013. The court pierced the veil of to enforce a judgment on a company assets controlled by the owner, actually. So in that case, they did go after it. Well, if we look at the unlimited company now, you have less disclosure. So unlimited companies are not required to file full accounts with Companies House. You maintain that bit of privacy. If you are trading an unlimited company, raising capital can be difficult. So investors tend to avoid unlimited companies due to the unlimited liability risk. But if you want to know, like an unlimited company, Coutts Bank, for example, that's an unlimited company. If you want to look at the operational flexibility of an unlimited company, so fewer statutory obligations make it easier to manage, but shareholders must weigh this risk against, again, the personal financial risk. So what I mean by that, an example is a family-owned unlimited company can run without disclosing their financial information publicly, but they may struggle to secure investments if they're trading due to the liability exposure. People will be like, well, the risk is too high. What's my return on investment by giving you this money, you know? So we're going to go from limited companies to unlimited companies here. So the pros and cons of a limited company. So obviously the protection of personal assets with the limited liability, the credibility. So if you're trading, it's seen more professional, which can help secure contracts, loans, investments, and then tax efficiency. So potential tax advantages over sole proprietorship or partnerships. There is some cons though. So for example, regulatory compliance, you have greater paperwork, there can be audits, there can be legal fees, these types of things. You do have to publicly disclose. So financial information is available to the public, including competitors. Again, that's if you're trading. And piercing the corporate veil, in some cases of fraud, personal liability can still be imposed. That's the precedent in case law. Now, if we look at unlimited companies, the pros, obviously, privacy, so no requirement to file your detailed accounts or financial accounts are publicly available. They're not. Management flexibility, so fewer regulatory hurdles compared to limited companies. But the cons are shareholders' personal assets are exposed. Even if the company is dormant, I'll get onto that later, you're still exposed. So there's a high personal risk, right? So significant risk to personal finances in the case of failure, debt, breach of contract, these types of things. Someone sues the company, they can come after your personal assets. And then there's limited investment appeal. So it's difficult to attract investors, again, if you were looking at that. So legal precedents for bank account seizure on unlimited companies. Now, this is one thing that really made me nervous with the unlimited company is if it's dormant, it's in your birth certificate name or your enrolled deed poll name, you have a bank account opened in that name, but you have an unlimited company that's dormant. Well, there's case law that says, you know, we can seize those assets, right? So an example of this is Jones versus Limpman, 1962. The court seized both the personal and business assets when they found that the defendant was using a company as a facade to avoid personal liabilities. So the bank account risk, if a bank account is registered under the same name for a personal and business use in an unlimited company, the creditors can argue that personal and business finances are intertwined and they'll allow the seizure of that account. So just be aware of that. So an example of this is a shareholder of Smith & Sons Unlimited uses a personal bank account under the same name for a company transaction. For example, a creditor can argue that this is mixing of personal and business funds. Obviously, it voids any distinction And then this can lead to a personal account being seized to satisfy company debts. So if we expand on the legal case, Solomon A versus Solomon Co. Limited. So this is some case from 1897. A bit of background on this. So it's a foundational case established on the principle of separating the legal and personal entities in limited companies, where shareholders' liability is distinct from the companies. So in contrast, on limited companies, this principle does not apply as rigidly and exposing personal finances. So the implication of that is the precedent underpins why unlimited companies don't enjoy the same protection. So hence the highlighted risk of asset seizures. An additional risk and concern for unlimited companies. So unlimited companies may face difficulties establishing trust with creditors. So if you needed to get a loan or something like that, knowing that the company's debts can fall on the shareholders' personal assets, that will deter them, So if you go to a bank or something like that, they'll be like, what's the risk of my return on an investment? And this concern can lead to less favorable loan conditions, higher interest rates, and make it even difficulty accessing finance if that's what you want to do. If we look at a limited company, so unlike limited companies where investors can limit their exposure to the amount they invest, shareholders in unlimited companies bear unlimited risk. This makes it challenging to attract external investors. So if you want to scale the business, it's going to be more difficult. If you're going to try grow your business, there's a limited potential growth. You have reputational risks. So since unlimited companies often do not file detailed accounts, they face skepticism from potential business partners. A concern of this is they could damage the company's reputation and hinder business opportunities, as the stakeholders or the people you would engage with, might worry about the company's financial stability because it's all private, right? They don't know what's going on. So the impact of personal bankruptcy on business operations. So if a shareholder of an unlimited company faces personal bankruptcy, it could directly impact the business, as their personal assets might be tied to the business operations. So what I mean by this is they're intertwining the personal and business finances, and this can lead to operational disruptions, especially in cases where personal financial issues spill over into business. So when you're basically, again, have an account, the same name that's going to be your dormant company, you risk this. So just be aware of that. So legal and compliance risks. So obviously, unlimited companies might still face certain legal obligations despite fewer reporting requirements, and the lack of adherence can result in legal penalties. So the concern here would be the absence of strict compliance frameworks might lead to oversight issues, increasing the risk of non-compliance. And then this is associated with penalties, especially in regulated industries. If you are trading in an unlimited company, you do something called like financial reporting. Flexibility comes with a hidden cost in this case, right? So what I mean by that is, while unlimited companies benefit from less stringent reporting, this can lead to a lack of proper financial oversight. And then obviously the concern with that is the absence of regular audits or financial checks. This can cause things to go unnoticed, increasing the risk of fraud, mismanagement, and it could become personally costly for the shareholders if debts do arise. So the risks of a dormant unlimited company and using personal bank accounts. So obviously, mixing personal and finance is not a good idea in this case. So if an unlimited company is dormant, but a personal bank account is used under the same name, it can create a situation where personal and business finances are indistinguishable. So the concern here would be a creditor or someone saying you owe debts or something like that, could argue that the personal account is effectively functioning as a business account, and they're making personal funds vulnerable to claims if the dormant company incurs any debts or liabilities. So that's one of the big risks for me. I'm very worried about that. So I haven't done an unlimited company. So legal implications of dormancy misuse, right? So a dormant company is meant to have no significant transactions, but if funds move through a personal account tied to the company's name, it could be seen as a breach of legal dormancy connections. So the concern here is that this can lead to legal penalties, investigations, or even claims of fraud, as the authorities might treat the personal account as an active business account, especially if the name is the same. So again, your exposure to creditors here, right? So if the creditors pursue the dormant company for an outstanding debt, they may have grounds to seize your personal assets from your personal bank account because it's registered under the same name, and they're going to assume it's used for business purposes. So an example of this is if John Doe Unlimited, but normally you wouldn't have Unlimited at the end, right? So it's just John Doe, is listed as a dormant company, but transactions go through the personal account also named John Doe, the creditors are going to argue, or they could argue, that the account is linked to the business, and they demand the funds from that account to settle any debt. So it's a big concern. Again, with potential tax complications. So in this instance, where you're using a personal account for any business-related purposes, even for a dormant company, can raise tax issues. So I know with the HMRC website, they say they may investigate to determine if the dormant status is valid. And obviously the concern around that is if it's found non-compliant, there could be back taxes, fines, penalties, these types of things where they seize things on the bank account, which is kind of nasty in their case. So I've done a quick case study example for you on this. So the scenario is a person registers an unlimited company. Let's say it's called Smith & Sons Unlimited, but keeps it dormant while operating a personal bank account under the same name. Over time, some transactions relating to consulting services are processed through this personal account. Well, then the outcome is the creditors or tax authorities may argue that Smith & Sons Unlimited is not truly dormant and the personal account is being used for business. So this could lead to, again, asset seizure, your house, your car, your savings, your pension, or retroactive changes in the company's tax status with penalties. And then again, you also have the reputational risk. This one would apply if you're trading, so authorities might view the mixing of personal and business activities under the same name as an attempt to conceal income of assets, leading to reputational damage. And obviously the concern coming from that is, even if it's unintended, this can cause long-term damage to the individual's ability to conduct business, as the financial institutions and partners will be very wary of engaging with you or someone whose financial practices are seen as non-compliant. So in the case of implications for bankruptcy and insolvency, so insolvency proceedings for unlimited companies, the risk is if an unlimited company faces insolvency, shareholders may be personally responsible for covering all outstanding debts. So unlike limited companies, there's no cap on the liability. So in 10 years down the line, they're like, oh no, we're still going to come after you because you accepted unlimited liability. Another 10 years after that, they can still come after you because you've accepted unlimited liability. So the concern is this could lead to personal bankruptcy for shareholders, especially if their personal assets are not sufficient to cover the business debts. And a legal insight into this, so courts have ruled that creditors can pursue personal assets if a business structured as an unlimited company cannot meet its obligations. And obviously the impact of bankruptcy on personal credit. So if an individual's personal assets are seized due to the company's debts, this will obviously negatively impact your personal credit score, your financial stability, these types of things. And the concern that arises from that might be it's challenging to secure loans or your mortgage in the future when you go to remortgage. And, lenders will see this in your history, and it's not nice, it's going to damage that. So switching from unlimited to limited status. So a lot of people are asking the reverse, actually, how to go from limited to unlimited. But I say if you want to go back, let's just do this. So transitioning from an unlimited company to unlimited structure is not straightforward and may involve legal, tax, and administrative hurdles. So this can be complex and expensive. So if you've already migrated over, it might be best just to shut the company down and rebuy it as a limited company, if that's what you wanted to do in that circumstance. So obviously the concern is shareholders considering the switch should be aware that the liabilities incurred before the change might still be enforceable against their personal assets. So just because you go back doesn't mean you're still not liable. They can still come after you. So obviously tax considerations during the transition as well. So changing business structures is complicated. This can trigger tax events. So if HMRC or someone figures out something, they can come after you, such as capital gains, if the assets are transferred or reevaluated. And obviously that concern is proper planning and consultation with tax advisors would be needed. Otherwise, you want to avoid these unexpected liabilities during a transition. Another case study I've done, so a comparison between the limited versus the unlimited. So if a limited company is facing debt, the case would be, we'll call them Green Tech Limited, incurred debts but failed to repay the creditors. the company declared bankruptcy and the creditors could not pursue the personal assets of the shareholders. So the outcome here is the shareholders lost their investment, but their personal home, savings, and other assets, they're safe. While scenario 2, if we look at the unlimited company in financial trouble, John Doe Unlimited could not repay the debts, creditors sued, and the shareholders had to pay from their personal accounts to overcome the shortfall. So the outcome of that would be shareholders lost their personal assets, they could lose property, savings, and this is all due to the company's liabilities with unlimited liability. And this obviously leads to bankruptcy for some. So a lesson learned here, obviously the protection offered by a limited company can be a crucial factor for businesses that wish to have limited risk exposure. If you don't want to have a limited risk exposure and you're happy having unlimited risk, that may be for you. Maybe you don't own assets, so you're not worried about that. Absolutely fine, but there's always a risk to whatever you do, right? So you got to factor this in, if operating in industries with high financial risks, especially how we use the process with the Dormant company and the contracts and reaching out to people, do you have a contract with my company? If you have an unlimited company and you try that approach, you have unlimited liability risk coming at you. So in conclusion here, so we're going to go over what a limited company offers. So it offers it offers liability protection, better investment opportunities, and credibility at the cost of more compliance and public disclosure. So when you have an unlimited company, this obviously provides a bit of privacy and flexibility, but the exposures to your personal finances is at much greater risk. So as we mentioned, the bank account risk, unlimited companies face higher risk, particularly in the commingling of business and personal finances. And this is making both the assets vulnerable in legal action cases. So you just really have to be aware of that if you're doing that. So recommendation, for most businesses, a limited company structure provides a safer and more practical option, unless the advantages of your privacy and your flexibility in a limited company are crucial. This is what I'm saying. You need to look at your circumstances. Do you have assets in that name that are, that could be exposed to something? If someone takes you to court and you lose, well, if you have the unlimited company, they can't really come after the assets that are not in that company name, right? So if you haven't transferred them under the limited company, it's a separation of entity that we always talk about. It's a different entity. So that's the end of this presentation. Is there any questions from anyone? Or are you still digesting all that? If you have a question, could you please raise your hand? It's gone over all your heads, hasn't it? Okay, Adrian. Hi, Adrian.
Oh, hi. Okay, my friend. I was just wondering, would you be repeating this video again, or
I will? Absolutely. Yeah. So this video will be made public. Obviously, it's due to the process being split, right? So I don't agree personally with the unlimited company route. Some people do, right? And it all depends on your individual circumstances. But because of the risks and how it's split, I just want people to be absolutely clear, all information given, we're open and honest about what's the potential risk for you doing that, Do you need to do it? That's the first thing you should be asking yourself. Are you happy with the limited, or do you want to go unlimited? The choice is completely up to you, and each individual case is going to be unique. But it depends. I would look at it as, if you have personal assets, remember there's an unlimited risk that they could be seized, right?
Sure. Thank you, Tegan.
No problem.
Hi, I'm sorry, I don't know how to raise my hand.
Can I come back to you in 1 second? Sorry, Mavis had her hand up just before you.
Oh, sorry,
I'll come back to you in 1 second. Yeah. Hi, Mavis. Oh, she's
Hi.
Still connecting. Are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, it says you're connecting to the audio. I was wondering. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. The question I've got is the unlimited. You said that there could be a problem if you've got the same bank account with the name, but doesn't that still and that you're liable if a company comes after you if you're in debt? I understand that part, but they still would have to have a contract, wouldn't they?
So it depends on how the court rules, right? You're assuming that the court's going to rule 100% in your favor, right? But what we're seeing now
No.
the courts are very corrupt.
That's not what I'm thinking.
So it depends if they go to court, right? You have to weigh the risk yourself, and the judge rules in their favor, and you have a mortgage or something like that. They can force the sale of the property of your house to pay that debt, even if it's just £500. And they normally, when you force the sale of a property, it goes undervalued than it's worth. So you're losing money, yet you're still stuck with a mortgage that you have to pay in that situation. So it just depends on your circumstances. Now, obviously the courts are completely corrupt. I believe that, I've been in them multiple times, I haven't seen personally a nice judge myself. The lawyers are the same. They do something called deviling, where they swear an allegiance to the devil, when they're becoming a solicitor. So it all depends on you and how you want to do this. Yes, it's contract based, but you're also taking an unlimited risk at that stage, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, with an unpaid parking ticket or something, if you went, you didn't dispute it properly, for example, or you didn't dispute it at all, and you just ignored it, and then all of a sudden there's a county court judgment against you or something. What do you do in that case? You've just accepted unlimited risk. They can force the sale of the house. So there is situations where you have to be aware of that, because some people will return to the sender some type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So what happens then when they go to court in that situation? And just food for thought, for you.
Yeah. Okay then. Thank you.
Does that answer your question? If you have more questions later on, obviously, I know people are going to be in shock and panic. There's no need to panic or anything. You've already have a company. If there's a contract, yes or no, you still have protections. You probably still have your trademark. But I just want you to understand there is a difference between limited liability and unlimited liability. Okay.
Yeah, I just didn't know about the bank, because if you've got the same name, I didn't know that part. If you've got the same name as the bank account and the same name as your
Yeah.
company.
Unfortunately, I've checked that, and there's multiple precedents in case law where they've come after someone that exactly that scenario. That's what I was worried about when I first heard about the company.
Right.
So
okay.
Just be aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
okay. Thank you.
No problem. I forget your name. You have Samsung SM.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes, me, Natalie. Hi.
Natalie.
Pleased to meet you, Tegan. Thank you for the immense work that you do. Like, I'm reading all the ins and outs of everything, and I really appreciate you. What happens if you're a limited company and you're going for the POA?
So so like a proper ownership. I haven't done that myself, so I can't really say. What I can do is I can take that offline. I can look into it and come back to you. So are you on the Telegram group or something? If you drop me a private message,
yeah, definitely.
Because I just don't want to put something in a recording and I may be wrong. That's just what I'm worried about. If someone else hears that.
Fair enough. That's fair enough. And as far as what you were saying before, I had an issue 20 years ago where somebody was trying to get like that amount, 500, and they put like a lien on my house. So it is something that can happen, right? Obviously.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Or you move property, for example, in that situation, right? And the post goes to another property, and you honestly didn't even know it was there, and all of a sudden there's a default county court judgment against you. They can force the sale of the property, and you have to weigh this risk in. There's so many scenarios that I could think of, even just being innocent about it, that could go wrong.
Most definitely.
Yeah, but then again, there's people that don't own any assets, so that could be fine for them as well.
Right.
It totally depends on where you are and what you want to do. If you want to go down that path, that's absolutely fine. But make sure it's because you want to do it, right? Not because someone else is telling you to do it. You are the adult making the choice yourself. You're happy to do that.
It's all about standing on your own 2 feet, right?
Exactly.
Thank you.
No problem. 5-Star Business. Hi, I don't know your name. Sorry, it's just coming from 5-Star Business.
Yeah, this is Courtney. This is Courtney Winston. How you doing, Tegan?
How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, man. Good information, man. Very compact and succinct. In regards to the unlimited and limited company comparison, is that the question of registering one's car under the limited name, or, for example, if it's Courtney Winston Limited with the LTD at the end, would that make a difference between, for example, the birth certificate name of Courtney Winston versus Unlimited, Courtney Winston Unlimited? If you register it as...
The difference with unlimited, right, is it doesn't show it that it's a company. So, for example, if your name is Tegan James, just an example, right? Tegan James, right? But Tegan James is an unlimited company. How do I know that? You see what I'm saying? So this is where you're taking that risk yourself, where if something happens and someone doesn't know, hence the bank account or something, they can come after you for your personal assets.
Right, got you. Listen. So, for example, the bank, if they're coming after you on your assets with be property or whatever, you own any tangible assets, for example, they're gonna come after the name, which is what to take away any vagueness and any ambiguity. That if it's, for example, Matthew Smith versus Matthew Smith Limited, then don't they have to get the right spelling exact, or does it have to just be Matthew Smith, not with the limited? I don't know if that makes sense.
Under, right? So when you're writing a contract with an unlimited company again, so if you wrote a contract with an unlimited, a limited company, it'd be Matthew Smith Limited on the contract, right? But if you wrote a contract with an unlimited company, you don't have anything at the end, so it'd just be Matthew Smith. So how do I distinguish between you, the Matthew Smith, and the company that's unlimited Matthew Smith, you know? They both look the same in the contract. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. That's the question I'm putting forward, really, to get that kind of deep understanding.
Yeah,
because
so same with your bank account. How do I know that bank account's, not doing business? It's in the business name. If it's an unlimited company in that situation, right? What do you do? How do you prove that it isn't? You can't, because you're using the company name. Well, as a limited company, you can go, oh no, that is limited at the end. You can definitely see the distinction.
Oh,
right?
good.
Totally different entity. And then what we do is we use the trademark as the property, you see? And this is where we get them with the trademark as the property of the name. So with the limited company route, which is why I prefer it, you have that complete separation of entity. You have the limited risk, and then you get the title deed when you do that. And then what happens is you buy the property through the trademark, and then you get them on that route. But with the unlimited company, I can come after your house for £500 fine.
Yeah. You don't want to be unlimited at all. Yeah, that.
Well, no, some people may want to be. You know, it really depends on your circumstances. If you own no personal assets and you're happy taking unlimited risk, maybe go for it. You know, but me personally, that's not for me, right? Because I own, for example, a house or whatever. I have a mortgage.
Exactly.
In an example situation, I have a car. Have some savings account or something.
What about shareholders regarding that? Shareholders, you can have joint directors in limited and unlimited companies where we have to be
they're all liable. They're all liable on unlimited company.
Yeah.
Unlimited liability. So in 10 years' time, they could say, "Oh, we still didn't get enough out of you. We're going to maybe train some more. I'm going to come after you again because you accepted unlimited liability."
Yes. Yeah. That's why I've gone that limited route. But yeah, thank you very much, Tegan. Very good, man. I'm on that route of registering and doing certain things with a limited company. Thank you very much. Very good.
Yeah, no problem. Was there any other questions? If you could please raise your hand. So if you hit the three dots, the more button, it should give you an option to raise your hand, or maybe reaction. It's under raise hand. Oh, Jack, hi.
Oh, hello there, Tegan. Yeah, I was just wondering, I can remember listening on one of the Zoom calls previously, and I think it was on the part there on Telegram, there was a link for a letter to do for informing HMRC that you're no longer operating in the public but in the private. Is that something that we could ask? Can I ask that question on here tonight?
Yeah, so normally, I don't think we had a template for that. Normally what would happen is when you register the limited company, if you choose that path, right, you would get, they try to give you a tax number, the equivalent to your national insurance number. And we would say, write dormant, because they're trying to create joinder with the company in case you start trading later. But you don't want to create that joinder with HMRC. That's what we were saying,
Yeah. On one of the Telegram links, you've got other topics in that. There was something on there, and it would have been back in July, I was flicking through and saw it on there, and it was just shown that somebody well, their letter that they wrote, how they drafted it to send to HMRC to say I'm no longer operating in the public. I'm going to be operating in the private from here on. And that was probably on a Friday or something like that. When I went to look at it on a Sunday, it was gone.
Okay, I didn't see that, so I don't know. And I always like to check the effectiveness of when people send something. So, for example, with the limited company, I can say I did the limited company. With the trademark, I can say I did the trademark.
I've done the limited company. I haven't trademarked it yet, but I just thought, wouldn't that be nice just to be able to send something like that and close another avenue down?
Absolutely potential, but from my experience dealing with HMRC, they kind of just do a blank, don't give a crap, you know? So less is more, in my opinion, you know? At least if you can hit them with a limited company and a trademark, you have like what I always say is like a minefield upon minefield upon minefield around you, right? And
yeah, because it's a precedent that they know. It's a precedent that they're well aware of.
It depends. So the left hand doesn't talk to the right hand in those departments. Okay. And a lot of the time they're using this AI machine learning. So a lot of the time when you get these letters in the post by them, it's just an automated computer sending it out. It goes to an auto print function at a designated post area, and then they just pick it up. No one's actually reading them. It's all computerized.
Okay. Thank you.
So that's actually what's going on. And then a lot of the times when you call back in, they'll automatically transfer you, from my experience, to, like, for example, HMRC debt or something like that. But that's not who you want to speak to. You want to speak to an advisor. And then you got to get to another department and all this stuff. And it's asking you all these questions, you know, on the audio thing, you know. So it's, for example, it's a computer saying something to you on the phone. But what happens is a lot of people accept that. So that's offering into a contract with you. You can say, no, I don't accept that. And it will still let you proceed. But a lot of people will say, you must agree to this. How many people are telling that thing, no, I don't agree. I reserve all my rights, you know? Very, very few people I can imagine are doing that. And they will still process you through, but that's what they're doing. They're creating that joinder by giving you this illusion that you're forced to accept this when you're not.
Yeah, it's just that from my last tax return, I have a small amount of money outstanding with them. And obviously, when the tax return comes around due to be filed by 31st of January next year, I've already created the limited company. But what I wanted to do was see if they're going to come back and pursue me in the next few months before the company's a year old, for whatever that is. So it's nice. That's why I thought, you know, send that letter and tell them no. Well, what's your suggestion?
So a lot of the times I find, for example, if it's TV license or anything, the second you engage with them and tell them something like that, you're automatically bumped to the top of the queue for an investigator to come out to you. And that's my personal experience. And I know people have worked in these areas. They have certain processes internally. The second you engage like that, I'm a free man or these types of keywords, you're automatically bumped to the top of the queue for an inspector to come to you. The best option to do is, if an inspector did come, say, yeah, that's a limited company. Who do you want to speak to at the company? And they go, I'm looking for this individual. And you're like, no, that's a limited company. Who do you want to speak to at the company? You know, or you can have a removed implied rights of access sign on the door. Or if they bypass that, you know, you get your invoice book and stuff ready, but then you need to record it. You need to look at the ID, look at both sides. Is the ID still in date? A lot of the time, you know, when their third-party interloper says they're working for them, the ID is out of date, they're not registered properly, these types of things, you know? And then you want to go through a whole GDPR thing with them, you know? You want to get their name, their date of birth, their address, you know? They're not going to give it to you. So why would you give them
when they come to your door and you give them a fee schedule and the bill?
Well, the fee schedule should be on the removed implied rights of access sign that you have up, right? You should have that up in your window or something, or on the front of your property, you know? Make it waterproof, laminate, you know? So the second they come in, you've removed the implied rights of access, they're engaging in contract, right?
Yeah.
So you could have a fee schedule. The fee for, you know, an unauthorized visit, for example, £4,999. The fee for having a conversation, £5,999, you know, per minute. You know, these are the types of things you could do. The fee for reading a document.
Very payable.
You know, exactly. So you have this basically whole fee schedule about what you want to do. Now, I don't know if you're on the website. I have it on the website, but if you're not, I'll explain it now. You know, you need to
I'm in the Patreon for well,
I'm not on
for
Patreon.
Truth Talk, but I'm not on claim your name yet.
Yeah, okay. So let me explain it then. So basically what you want to do is, because most of everything you do in life is tort, contract, right? Civil law. So for example, when you go to Tesco, you're buying something, right? So you're getting the goods and services for a fee. Same when you get your fuel at the petrol station or whatever, you know, you're getting services. So they're giving you the fuel plus the ability to get that, but you're paying a fee, right? And that's basically how the world works. So you're actually engaged in contract law all the time without realizing it, you know? So this is why you need to put up these protections to protect yourself. So you want to remove the implied rights of access, you know, that gives you that protection. You want the fee schedule up. So if they come and discuss things with you, that's a fee, you know, and then you can invoice them. That's why you get their name, who they're working for, you record everything. So they can't say, I didn't do that. It's all on record.
And we say no pay, no play.
You know, but this is essentially what they're doing to us. So we can do it right back at them. Little uno reverso, you know? You have a lot more rights than you realize. It's just we've been so indoctrinated from a young age to think, oh, this is the authority structure. We must bow down and comply and cower in the corner, you know?
Is this only...
Sorry?
Is this only if you have a trademark that you can do that?
No, you can have a fee schedule for the company. The trademark just makes it more powerful, right? So the trademark is the property, for example, of the company. So you can have a company name, John Doe Limited, right? The John Doe Limited owns the trademark John Doe. So if they write an invoice for John Doe, they're taking the company property, using it for financial and commercial gain without the company's permission, I'm guessing, because you'd want a contract. So they'd have to provide a contract to use your trademark, I would assume. And then if they are doing that, you have to send a cease and desist and say, look, that's company property. It's a registered trademark. You can't say you didn't know because it kind of went in the Gazette. It's public knowledge. You know, if you continue to use the company trademark, there's a fee per instance. So you always want to do per instance. And the reason that is because if you just give them a one-off fee, essentially what's happening is they can use it as many times as they want once they pay that fee. So you're always per instance of use or part thereof. You know?
Thank you.
A quick question.
Yeah.
If I were to say I had a debt collector coming after me and I sent a letter to say to them with a fee schedule, but I didn't say, but then they start emailing you and sending you texts and trying to call you on the phone, how do you deal with that with them?
So you can also do that with a cease and desist if they're trying to call you on the phone. What you can do is you can do a data subject access request, a DSAR, you know, under GDPR law. I want any and all information you have on me, how you're processing the information, any machine learning you used in the processing of this information, and who shared my information with you, right? So GDPR is personal, nothing to do with the company, right?
Oh, something else just come to mind. And if they do a soft search on you on your credit file?
Again, so it depends, right? So they have the right to do these searches, right? But if it's a property owned by the company, it's different, right? Then it's a different ballgame, because if you have a trademark and it's company property, first of all, the credit agency is probably trading the company property, right? And then what happens is, if that's the case, it's a different entity to you. The name is not you, obviously. They're trading the company property for financial and commercial gain. Is that the Fraud Act 2006? I'd advise you to read that. It's very easy to read, very nice law. So these are the types of things you have to look at. Separate yourself from the name.
Okay. And then come after them for fraudulently giving your details to your company without contract.
So it's not fraudulently giving the details, it's a data breach, right? So the
sorry.
personal data, how did they get your data in the first place? Who shared the data with them? This is what you want to know. There's a cease and desist processing and utilizing that data effective immediately type of situation. And you want to be in the instance where if they failure to comply, there's a fee schedule, you know? And any further correspondence, you know, you can bring harassment in. Obviously, if they're calling you and stuff like that, how did they get the number? Why are they calling you? You know? And now also what some people do is that number on the voicemail or whatever, when they answer it, they say, hello, this is John Doe Limited. How can I help you? or if they see the removed implied rights of access and the limited company plaque on the door, they just walk away because they know they're in trouble at that stage.
Okay, so just to ask the last bit of that then, is if at any time we'd already sent a cease and desist letter to them, and then they continued coming.
Yeah, well, that's harassment at that stage, but always include a fee schedule, always. Because what you have to realize is your time on this realm is finite. And what I mean by that is, people, humans, unfortunately only live so long, right? So everything you do requires your time, your energy, right? So you have to put a fee for your time. If they send you this horrible notice and you have to read it, it's going to cost them, There's a fee for that.
Well,
and that's how you have to start thinking of things. It's just business.
No, thank you. Yeah, well, exactly. If you're not getting it back, then they deserve to well, they have to. Well, I'm trying to think of the world. They have to reimburse you for your time. So
exactly, but you have to notify them of the fee schedule in advance, right? So there's a thing in legalese called remedy. You have to give them the right to remedy. So if they've just used the trademark and they made a mistake, that's where the cease and desist would come in. Any further use would incur a fee, right? So you tell them, back off, I'm giving you a warning, but anything going forward, there's a fee.
And when you've done that, you've got a paper trail. Therefore, if they did continue, then you could actually
invoice. Then you write the invoice, and then an invoice is a legal document, right? And then they're not going to pay it, and then they're the debtor all of a sudden, and they're in the same situation you're in, is that they owe more money now, so they're the debtor.
Then we go to a debt collection agency and say to them, right, we've got an outstanding fee, can you go and collect it from them?
Yeah, so what you would normally do before that is like a small claims court or a money claim on time, and then you would get a default judgment against them type of situation. Because what I mean by default judgment is they don't show up, and if they do show up and you've got your paper trail right, you can show, look, they still owe the money. And if the judge is still arguing, you say, look, let's be amicable here. They say I owe X, they owe me Y. Let's deduct X from Y. They still owe me money. They're still in debt, and the judges love that type of stuff.
Okay, then. Thank you so much for very in-depth answers. I appreciate all your time and your efforts.
No problem. I'm welcome on board.
And what I was just going to ask you was, if I were to go on the Patreon and become a supporter, I think that's £71, is it?
I'm not on Patreon, so Carl owns the Patreon thing. So I think
it's right. Okay. On the claim, if I were to do that, all the bits you've told me, are those particular
not on
that information available on the lowest membership?
Not on the website, you mean? Sorry.
Yeah, on the Claim Your
No,
Real Name
so
website.
not everything is available on the lowest one. So normally you'll get like a Zoom call like this or something like that, but it wouldn't give you access to all the content. So if you want to take it offline, I can discuss that with you. If you message me privately, we can discuss that offline. What exactly are you looking for,
Okay, then thank you.
It may be freely available in the Telegram group. That's why I say that,
Okay, then. Thank you very much.
No problem.
I'm going to keep quiet now properly and let somebody else ask some questions. Thank you.
No problem. I just confirm. Are you in the Telegram group?
I'm in the Telegram group, yeah, because I got that before you, just before about a month before you started the Claim Your Real Name website. I got that then because it did at the time have a zero option to sign up to Claim Your Real Name, but I couldn't actually, when I tried it,
that one of course doesn't give you anything. Yeah, so it's just a basic account. So you can have account, but it doesn't really give you anything. So if you wanted options, yeah. So, but yeah, just drop me a message after and we can discuss, because there may be free content already on the app that you can utilize depending on what you want to learn, With the website, I'm trying to teach people, okay, I've done the limited.
And I'm looking to learn.
Yeah, well, that's amazing, because most people have done the limited company or the trademark and they're like, well, actually, what's next? What do I do next? And I'm trying to teach you the whole history. What's actually going on? When did they implement this stuff? What actually are they doing? And I'm trying to build that whole community up that way, where you can just, someone comes to your door, it's like a reaction, automatic, you just drill like a process. You're just following A, B, C, D, and you catch them off
just
guard.
hold there 1 minute. I'm just going to get my fee schedule. And by the way, is your invoice. So can you pay that now, please, or otherwise go away?
Well, not even go away, when they try to say something, you have to pay this first, the outstanding debt, you know, because that's what they're there for, right?
Well, this is the big reset that we're all hearing about all the time, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you, Tegan. God bless.
No problem. We have Chris. Chris L. You have to unmute yourself, bottom left corner.
Yeah, sorry. My question's, it's only because you were talking about GDPR and stuff. I've just got a question that's happened to me recently.
Okay.
So basically, my bank have been trying to get in contact with me. They've been telling me via post and via text messages and all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
And out of the blue, they were hassling me so much I removed my number. So they've added my father's number. So they've been texting my father, ringing my dad about just about my account. And I called them up and I said to them, my dad said to me after 2 months, he said, why are Santander calling me, text me about your account, etc. And to cut a long story short, I spoke to him yesterday and they randomly added my dad's number from a third party.
Okay, yeah, so that's a massive GDPR breach right there.
Yeah.
So you need to report a breach to them. So they've got something called a data protection officer, saying you first of all do a GDPR request, so a DSAR, data subject access request, any and all information they have on you. Then you want to also contact the ombudsman at the same time, saying you want to report a data breach. Your data has been breached. It's confirmed. If they have sent your information to your dad, that's a breach, right? So
yeah, so they admitted it on the phone as well. They said, "Oh, we don't know. We've done this. We don't know why how we got your dad's number." Oh, they tell me how they got my dad's number. They can see that I haven't added it. They tried to offer me £150 as compensation.
No. So what happens is they can get fined up to 10% of the total worldwide income of that company. So what you want to do is file a complaint with the commissioner. Say when it comes back and asks what do you want maximum penalty under the law, essentially, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So I would start with that. Obviously, they're going to try squirm and negotiate with you, but you want the data subject access request. You have to give them 30 days to comply. Get the information. Obviously, they're going to incriminate themselves because who did you share my data with? That's what you want to say, you know?
Yeah.
And any and all information they have on you. And then basically they're going to have to either admit something or you will have reported it to the IPO at that stage. Hopefully they admit it and you have a stronger case, you know?
They have admitted it. They've admitted it and I've recorded the phone call.
Okay, that's even better. So you can also submit that as evidence to the IPO and say you want, basically this is a major data breach. So you have to look at data as your property, like your phone, like your house, like your TV, it's your property. They can't use it without explicit permission. So that's how you go after them.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I knew I had to report it, but I wasn't too sure of the process. I did ask them for a copy of the call, although I took a copy of the call on the phone myself with another handset. And they did admit to randomly putting my father's phone number on the file.
There you go. Yeah, you have a good case there.
Okay, cheers. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? So we have Janet. Sorry, Chris, can you put your hand down if you're finished? You just have to click it again, the reactions button. Yeah, thanks. Janet, hi.
Hi there, Tegan. Thank you for everything you're doing. Cool. Jack and everybody's raised loads of questions now. So, basically, I was getting it straight in my head. When you create the limited company, you kill off the implied name and company.
So what happens is they're dealing with implied all the time, right? So when you're born, you're told this is your name. You have your birthday, you're indoctrinated in school and university, when you go to work or whatever, someone's like, show me the ID, this is you, right? But in reality, 99.9% of people are using something called an implied, which means they don't own the title deed. So therefore they're taking full liability and responsibility for something you don't own. Doesn't sound very nice, right? So what we say is buy the name, get the title deed, and then get the trademark and own the name as the property of the company.
So when it comes to debt collectors, and they agree that they haven't got a contract with the limited company, and they keep saying, "But I'm writing to the implied because you took this out as a personal."
Right. So they can't be implied once you express the company. because the government website explicitly states there can only be one company registered in that name. The problem is no one's bought the name, and this is how they're getting away with it.
But they completely refuse to give.
That's where the fee schedule comes in, and then you have the trademark, you know, and then they become the debtor when you invoice them, you know, if they breach the fee schedule.
Right.
The debtor loses 100% of the time, and unfortunately, that's what they're doing. You're considered the debtor, right?
Yeah.
Until they owe more, you know, there's an issue. That's why they won't go to court if they are invoiced tens of thousands, because there's a risk that the judge is going to go, oh, wait a second, you also owe them money.
Okay. So,
but you must give them the cease and desist first. You must give them the fee schedule. There is a process you must follow. You can't just invoice them for nothing, right? So that's part of the remedy section I mentioned. You must give them opportunity to cure, to fix the situation.
Yeah, but they refused to give me a data subject access request.
So what did you say with the subject access request? Did you request any and all your information, not the company, right? Because my personal data.
Yeah, my personal data. As I requested it as like an agent of the company. You're accessing.
Everything on me. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Go on. I've muted them.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, as a person. As the director of the company, I wanted my personal details that they held, and they said they're working as an agent for the bank, for the credit card company. So
they'll have to comply. So again, if they didn't comply, and you have proof that you sent it, contact the ombudsman. There's been a data breach. A breach is also when they don't comply with the law. That can also be considered a breach, and then report them.
Okay, because they're saying they're within their rights to. They're getting the credit card company to send me some.
They're confusing you there. They're saying I'm working on X, Y, Z. That's not what you asked. You asked them for the information they had on you, right? If they didn't comply with that, it's a breach. So what they're trying to do is trying to fool you with the words, you know, casting these spells, as people say.
Okay. All right then. Perfect. All right. Thank you.
And it's really easy to file a complaint with the IPO. You know, just go on their website. It's all automated. It's really, really simple. You know.
Okay. And I guess if they're getting large penalties, they get a percentage of that. So they're quite happy to do that.
Absolutely. So you wouldn't get anything if they go, for example, if they rule against them. But what happens is if the IPO rules in your favor and does give a huge penalty, immediately file a small claims court against them, £9,000.
Right.
Because you already have the IPO saying, look, it's already happened. They've already proven that there was a breach. You know, my data was breached. So now I'm coming after you personally because of that. You're allowed to do that as well.
And is that the same if they don't comply and give you the information?
Well, you have to get... So that's considered a breach. So there's two options there. It's better to get the IPO to get them to say there was a breach. And once that's been admitted, then you can file the money claim online or the small claims court. Obviously, I'm not giving legal advice, but that's how I would approach it, you know?
Yes, yeah, of course. Okay, lovely. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Tegan, real quick, is that IPO or ICO?
IPO.
IPO, right. Gotcha.
Oh, sorry, is it the ICO?
IPO. ICO?
Is it the Information Commission?
ICO. ICO.
Yeah. Sorry,
I thought it was a new thing you're talking about there, mate.
IPO is the trademark. Sorry, that's if they violate the trademark. Apologies. Yeah, so sorry.
Got you, buddy. No worries.
Commissioner's office, right? So I can put the website in the chat for you guys now. If you just give me 1 second. Is this website. So if you click that website, you'll be able to load it, and then you can go, you know, how do you get copies of your data? How do you make a complaint? So it's when you see take action on the top right corner, you know, you can either make a complaint or report a breach, you know? So it gives you the options. It's really, really easy to do. Adrian, hi.
Yeah, sorry to bother you again, Tegan. It's my first time on the Zoom conference. What is the name of your Telegram group to access your data, your presentation, and so on?
So at the moment it's called Truth Talk, the Telegram group, but I think it's called Truth Talk _ claim your real name is the tag. What I can do is maybe copy the link and put it in the chat if you want to join. Give me 1 second.
Hey, thank you, Tegan.
That might be a bit easier for you to do. So just give me 1 second. The Telegram on the left. I have to email it to myself. Sorry, give me 1 second. If anyone has a question in the meantime, please also ask. Mavis, you have another question? You have your hand up.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize it was down.
No problem. So I'm just going to put the link to the Telegram. Oh, I didn't like that. 1 second. There we go. So this is the Telegram link. If you wanted to join the website, it's this. Yes, it doesn't come up as a hyperlink for some reason, but it is. So also on the Telegram page, you can find everything you need. If you like what I do, you can also buy me a coffee. There's an option there. If you like to donate £2 for a coffee or something, I'd much appreciate it as well.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Tegan. I mean,
no problem. You're in? Perfect. Okay. I think
we all need to be buying you a cup of coffee today.
No problem. As I said, I will post the link to this in the Telegram group, so I'll put it on a YouTube, or I'll make a free page on the website just so you guys can view it again. Obviously, I did go through a lot of information, so it's a lot to take in. You probably have 101 questions after the Zoom ends or something like that. So if you have any questions, obviously post them in the Truth Talk Telegram app. That'd be amazing. Is there any other questions from anyone? Doesn't have to be about unlimited or limited companies. It can be about your GDPR, these types of things as well. No, if not, we can end the Zoom call here then, unless anyone has any questions.
Don't tempt me.
If you have a question, you may as well. I'm here, so absolutely no problem.
I'll leave it. It's my first week. I'll leave it till next week.
Okay. No problem.
Hi, sorry, Tegan. I couldn't unmute me, and I can't even raise my hand. It's Vula.
Okay.
How you doing?
Hi, Vula. How are you? I'm
fine. I missed the first half an hour because I've got caught tomorrow for stupid council tax. I only found out today, but that's another story. So I got a bit confused about. I met Carl a little while ago, and he was saying now it's from limited to be unlimited, and it kind of really threw me, and I haven't really had a chance to look at it. Can you just give me, I know I've missed the first half and I do apologize. Is there a brief synopsis that you can give me? We've done the limited. We've done what have you done? We've got the trademark and my sister's done her depot. I haven't done the depot yet because I'm changing my name. There isn't much to change it to, so I'm still up in the air about that. So what do I do next? And how does the unlimited work now?
Okay, loads of questions. Okay,
so sorry.
No. 1 second. No problem. So, an unlimited company is basically, you have your limited company is limited liability, and you have limited at the end, so LTD or limited, depending on how you want to show it. Unlimited companies are unlimited liability, and that means they can come after your personal assets. So, for example, if you go to court tomorrow and there's a council thing, now obviously with the liability orders with the council, they have technically removed the ability for that from law in 2003, according to their own council handbook.
Yeah.
That would definitely be something to look into. I would also be looking at, invoicing them for your time when you're there, because if you have a trademark and they're using your trademark, there's a fee for that, cease and desist fee. So invoice them when you're there. When you're in court, there's an outstanding invoice you want to clear as well.
Yeah.
And you can't proceed until they clear the debt, So I would look at that type of stuff. But essentially, you're accepting unlimited liability with an unlimited company. Now, some people, that's fine. They want to go down that path. No problem. It all depends on your circumstances. And this is where Carl and I slightly differ. I'm not in a place in my life where I want to accept unlimited liability. I have assets and I don't want to lose them. I have savings.
Me too. I've got a house.
So I don't want to be in a position where that's at risk, because I forgot to pay a parking ticket or something, or I returned to sender something I didn't notice, and there's a default judgment all of a sudden. They can force sale on the house, and I don't want to be in that position. It wouldn't be very nice.
Yeah. So basically, is those who have done the limited should stick to limited, and those who haven't got assets can be unlimited. So I shouldn't unlimit my limited company. if that makes sense.
So you should basically make the choice yourself as an adult, you know. So what do you want to do, right? If you want to accept unlimited liability, no problem. Happy for you to do that, but that's all on you. I'm not ready to go down that path personally. Nothing wrong with it, but I think this is where Carl and I differ, you know. So he wants to go that way. Absolutely.
But what's the benefit of going unlimited?
So there's a little bit more privacy where you don't do the filings, right? But that's counteracted by the increase in risk with the unlimited liability.
Oh, okay.
With the limited liability, they can't go after your personal assets unless it's fraud, you know. With the unlimited company, for a small debt, they can go after it. And then there's the issue if you're using the same name as a bank account with the unlimited company, they can argue that it's essentially trading, and then they'll come after your personal assets. It's a catch-22. How do you want to do that, you know?
No, I want to protect my assets.
Well, yeah, that's what I want to do as well. So
yeah,
it all depends on you, you know?
Yeah. Okay. I know that you my sister's still a bit what claiming your name. What? Oh, sorry, my sister's just talking in the background. You mentioned about the council removed something in 2003. That's the God, what is it?
Liability orders for them to be able, for the council to be able to be able
yes,
to
but although it's my friend Eva, she's really looked into it and researched it, and she found out although they've eliminated the form, they haven't deleted or eliminated the actual procedure. That's why they're still carrying on doing it.
So what's happened is, from my understanding, is something's gone out to all the courts saying, look, we've removed this from law, don't use it anymore. But the court system and all the legal clerks ignored it. And there's never been an audit done saying, why haven't you complied with this? It's been removed from law.
Yeah.
And that's the issue, right? And this is where you want to get them with the invoicing, you know?
Yeah, I've been invoicing them, giving them 10 grand from a visit every time court appearance. I've probably given them about
what you have to do is submit that for the court and then give them copies tomorrow. So bring like 5 copies, give it to the guy. If the guy, you know, starts using your trademark in court, the other counsel solicitor or whatever, invoice him immediately. That's a trademark. You're going to be invoiced for every instance you use it. And then what he's going to try to do is use an acronym for your name. This is Miss XYZ. I'm sorry, did you just assume my gender? Then it becomes under the Equalities Act 2010. That's a hate crime. You want maximum penalty under the law because they've committed a hate crime against you.
Hate crime. Yeah, because I keep telling them.
Everyone is witness there because you don't identify as Mrs. or whatever, right? So then you want.
I've told them that 100 times.
You know, and then you say motion to judgment, maximum penalty under the law now. I've been hurt, you know.
Yeah.
So don't accept the abbreviated names they're going to try use for you tomorrow, right? Obviously, when you go in, they're going to try fool you and trick you and intimidate you.
You know, every time I've gone, I think this is my 4th visit. I just say I'm not Miss, and I shove my birth certificate in their face. Just Varnavu. When they go, Miss Nicola, no, not Miss Nicola. Stop calling me that. I'm just Varnavu. So
and then get under the Equalities Act as well, you know, the hate crime, because then you also want to report that to the police as well, because get a criminal reference crime number from them as well, because that's a hate crime. And then you want to prosecute, you know, maximum penalty under law. You want to press charges.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't be nice to them. You know, these people are ruining people's lives, so you can ruin theirs. You know, don't feel sorry for them. They chose to go into that. That's what you have to realize.
I don't feel sorry for them. I don't know how. I even said to him, I don't know how you sleep at night. They sleep
very well. They love energy off hurting people, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why you have to be able to defend yourself. So it's definitely called the Equalities Act 2010. Yeah, 100%. So I would definitely look at that. Sorry, my cat meowing down here. Definitely look at that.
I had my cat just crawling all over my paperwork as well. I was going to say, is there recording? Because I missed the first part.
This will be open to everyone. So I'm going to put it on YouTube or make a free page. I will post it in the Telegram group where it is. So you don't have to be a member of anything. It's all going to be open. And the reason for that is because there's so many questions in regards to unlimited, limited, and which part of the process you want to follow, you know?
Yeah.
I just want people to make informed decisions. Because it can be quite dangerous if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah,
it's fine if you want to go down that path. Absolutely cool, but make sure it's what you want to do, right? Don't just do it because someone said to do it.
Yeah. Now the only thing with mine, although I did my limited and I've done my trademark and I've done it all last year. Is it last year we finished it, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, probably the year before. I haven't told the council that they're using my trademark yet. I haven't gone down that route only because
Yeah, but okay, 1 second, because it's in the Gazette, it's public knowledge. So what you do is say cease and desist tomorrow. There'll be someone representing the council, some legal counsel, right?
Yeah.
What happens is, say, give him a cease and desist order with a fee schedule. If he violates that in the court, invoice him immediately in the court.
Hold on, so cease and desist order and
so you're writing a cease and desist notice, essentially. Sorry, right?
Yeah.
So this is a trademark owned by this company, right? There's a fee for use. You know, you're not authorized to use it. Do not use it going forward. If you do use it, there's a fee.
Oh.
And there's a fee for your time as well.
Yeah. I'm not sure I'm going to get time to do this.
Reading documents, there's a fee for you appearing in court. There's a fee for everything, you know?
Yeah, they've already got my fee schedule already anyway. I've always given them a fee schedule. I've given the council know my fee schedule, but it's the courts as well. Plus I've always invoiced the court because it's always them summoning me.
Yeah, okay.
But I have never given those copy invoices to the council, although they've got them. And also the council, I've done a DSAR SARS request, and they missed off all the correspondence to and from the courts about me.
That's a breach. So
yes,
anything submitted, it's a breach. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wrote back to them and I said, you've missed out all this documentation that I know exists, because in court they confirmed it exists. And they came back and said, I'm going to say his name. His name is he's the team leader, court team for Enfield Council, Mr. Christopher Cafetis. If he's listening, good luck. They came back and said, Mr. Christopher Cafetis has confirmed that he has deleted all email. He deletes all his emails that he sends to the courts.
Irrelevant. He's processing your data. If you did a DSAR, they have to comply. So again, report.
Yeah, they said they deleted it. The council
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Report it as a breach.
Report as a breach.
Second, they don't comply with the data subject access request. It's a breach.
It's a breach.
It's if they leave out a bit of information that you requested, it's a breach.
Yeah.
So always get them on these things, because then you can sue them for them, right? So this is what you want to do: make them the debtor 100% of the time.
Okay, we'll do. I'm going to have to listen to this. I know I'm not going to get a chance to do all this, the cease and desist for tomorrow, but I'm going to have to do it when I get back. I only found out.
It's very easy to write a cease and desist. You know, you're literally just saying, this trademark is the property of this company. Cease and desist. You know, if they're using it, failure to comply will result in a fee schedule per instance of use. You know, and just hand it to him. Just write his name on it and give a copy to yourself. Take a photo of you handing it to him, or a video.
What was it? Failure to comply?
With the cease and desist notice, you know, we'll implement the fee schedule, because it's a contract then, right? They're entering the contract, you know.
Yeah, enter fee schedule. Okay.
Keep it very simple, you know.
Yeah. All right, lovely. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Hi, Ali.
Hi there. Hi. Very quick question. Just going back to the ombudsman, because I was trying to look up ombudsman whilst we were on the Zoom. Is the financial ombudsman the same? Is there another one? Are there different ones? Or is that
which island are you on again? You're on Isle of Wight, is it?
Jersey.
Jersey. I think they have their own one. You want like for data breach, is it?
Yeah.
So the Jersey government have their own information commission officer.
Well, I've already contacted them, and they said they wouldn't do anything about it.
So what exactly did you ask, if you don't mind me asking, that they said they won't do anything about it?
Well, I told them what happened, and they said, well, you need to ask them this question. Under what law of the data protection law did they see fit to pass my information, my information?
Okay.
And they didn't answer. She was all like fumbling on the phone going, oh, I'm so sorry.
No, but you have to put it in writing. You have to put it in writing, right? You can't do it on the phone. You have to put it in writing.
Well, I got it recorded at least. So
yeah. So what you do is say, following up from our call, write a transcript, date it, saying, GDPR request. You're requested to give any and all information you have of me. Reference this call on this date, and then give them 30 days to comply. And if they don't comply with that, then you go to the jerseyoic.org and then you report them. Because
yeah,
then
I did report them, and they said there was nothing that
because you don't have it in writing. You need it in writing. Yeah.
Yeah. So the last was that I asked them who they'd sent my data to, because I got a name of a person that was just a name. It wasn't, and I did say, did you send it to this person? And she and the the big lady wrote back saying, are you asking, if you're requesting me to tell them that there's mail at that office for the attention of the person? Well, she didn't actually say his name, but that I need to give my data to them, and I just ignored it because I wasn't going to start, feeding them giving them my.
You want the information and who they shared your information with.
Yeah.
As simple as that. And once they respond, or if they don't respond, that's how you go after them, right?
Yeah. Okay.
You keep it short and simple. Put it in writing. They have 30 days to comply from the date of your notice, your GDPR notice that you sent to them. You know, and then that's it. Wait for them to respond.
Yeah. Just another.
In digital format, requested in digital format, organized by date.
Yeah. Okay.
Or alphabetically, and you kind of get paper copies, but the problem with paper copies is, well, for me, I like to press Control F on my laptop and search for keywords or dates or something. Well, if it's a paper copy, I have to physically go read it, So it depends what you want to do.
Okay. And with that, but the templates that you have with that, like, to get, can we type them out and use them and send them off? Or what?
Obviously, yeah, but just remember they're an example template. So if you want one, just message me and I can send you the template and you can fill your own information in. But just remember, it's a template, right? It's not the laws and stuff quoted are correct, but normally you'd write your own one, your own story, because everyone has their own story about what's going on. But that's what you'll fill in the template. You'll fill in your part of the story, your data request. You're going to reference a phone call, this type of thing.
Okay, thank you very much.
So just reach out to me on Telegram and we can arrange that.
All right, brilliant. Thank you very much.
No problem, Alison. Sister Love, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Very good. How are you?
Good, I'm fine, thank you. My question was, if you have any assets in the all capital name and you're changing it to a limited, does that automatically get transferred over, or what happens with anything else that's?
That's a really fantastic question. So what happens is the entire system is essentially a fraudulent system. So there are 1,000 people with your name, right? And they're all using implied companies and they don't realize it. And they allow that in the system. But what happens is when you buy the name, you express it. So you own the title deed. But the beauty of owning the title deed is you can dip in and out of the legalese system when you want to. And then when someone's coming after you, you go back up behind your limited company and your trademark and you have that protection. Because we don't want to be in a state where we go back living like they did in the Stone Age or something like that, I love having high-speed internet and being able to buy stuff on Amazon and stuff like that. I still want to be able to use my bank card. So this is dipping into the legal, right? But you want the protection. Now, obviously, I'm not going to say don't obviously stop paying your mortgage and stuff. The banks are very corrupt. They will seize stuff. So don't do anything like that. But it gives you that protection that most people don't have. And the government website's absolutely clear. Once a company is registered in that name, another company cannot be registered in the same name. Only one entity can exist with that name. And it's clear on the government website. They explicitly state that.
Okay, so what would happen with anything you've acquired, say from birth to say my age, 36? Anything I've acquired, yeah? Would you then transfer it into the limited company so the business would own it, or would you put it in a trust?
No, don't tell them anything about it. Yeah, keep it all secret.
You can still operate with the full CAPS name, getting stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's the beauty of it. But you own the title deed. So if something does go wrong, or they put something on your credit record or something, and you have the trademark and these things, then you can kind of go after them. Well, before is you can't go after them because you're using an implied. So essentially, as I mentioned earlier, you've taken full responsibility and liability for something you have no control over. And it's not a very good deal, is it?
No, and even if it's limited, you don't have to put limited at the end of your name. Like like we know. It will just
that's why you'll get the trademark, right? So you
okay.
can direct stuff from the limited company for contract base. So saying someone's saying you owe me,
Mm-hmm.
for example,
Mm-hmm.
the debt collectors and stuff. But for example, what happens is you can buy the mark, so the name as a trademark. That way, it's limited at the end. So you just put John Doe, not John Doe Limited. And then when they use John Doe, it's the property of the company, and then you can go after them that way.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I had another question, but it's gone out of my head, but I'm sure it'll come back. I'll come back. Thank you.
No problem.
Tegan. So thank you very much, sir. What registered or company would you recommend in terms of trademarking your name?
So I love the limited company because of the limited liability. That's what brought me to this whole process, right? As I said, it's kind of split now with the unlimited and the limited. I love the limited company route because of the protection and the success stories I've had with that. You know, whether I've gone after banks or whether I've gone after mobile phone companies or I've gone after Dun & Bradstreet, I've used the limited company with the trademark to separate the entity, you know? So that's why I love that. It's really, really worked for me.
Yeah, but was there any particular company that you used to do the
oh no, you can register a company yourself in minutes online. So you'll go to
companies made simple and all that kind of stuff.
It's really really easy. So you'll go to a government portal. It will say register an ID. Now normally, don't give them your real personal email address. What I do is I register a different one completely, right?
Good.
For that.
Good.
So because I don't like giving out my personal email address, right? But everyone's different. It doesn't matter if you've done it the other way. And then what happens is you'll go to register the company. It will ask for the company name. Obviously, it will always put it in capitals. Even if you don't type it as capitals, it will put it as capitals for you. It will ask you how you want limited. Do you want it spelled as LTD or do you want it fully spelled limited? And then it will ask, how do you want it? So you want the shares, you know? And then you want the share price. I put £1 for my share price, you know? And then you get allotted the share every year, you know? So it's very, very simple to do. Very, very simple. You can do it in minutes, you know?
Exactly. And because like where am I? I've got the limited company, but I'm in the process of now protecting the IP, trademarking the actual name.
Yeah,
is what I'm looking at, and I know there's many different companies where you can do trademark.
You can do the trademark yourself. Very, very easy. Again, these companies charge you exorbitant fees. You don't need to use them, in my opinion. It's very, very easy to do. You just go on the website. It's going to ask you.
Right. This is where I want to get to. Yeah.
Okay. So it's going to ask, what type of trademark do you want? So is it like a picture? Is it a word mark? So it's called a mark, right? And then you want to click on that section, and then you want to something called a trademark series, right? And the reason you're choosing a series is because you're going to have different variations of the name. Now, in mainland Europe, you just choose the one name and it gives you everything. But unfortunately, in England, Ireland, and some other countries, you have to use this thing called a series. So you want the all caps version of the name. Don't put limited at the end, just the name. And then you want the upper lowercase, and then you want the all lowercase. And that way you own 3 versions, right? And then you choose something called a class. So a trademark is made up of classes. There's 45 of them. Each class is something called goods and services. So you need to register first of all, research which goods and services you want, which class you want, right? That's up to you to choose, you know? And then you'll put those goods and services under that class, and then you'll register your trademark. So the website to register a trademark in the UK, let me get it for you now. Just so you can see that, you know, and it's about £200, I think, 220, I think, with all the
that's the one I'm looking at online right now.
170, but because you're going to do the extra series, it's going to be about 230. And the reason I say spend an extra £50 is because you always get these little bailiffs, little shits or something coming around. They'll find out, oh, you didn't register this part of the trademark, and they're going to write like, you know, so just for the peace of mind, you know.
Exactly. And that's the trademark series application. Is that on gov.uk?
Yeah, so I'll put the link there. So, for example, let's do an example, right?
That's the one.
So you'll do like John Doe, you know, you don't put limited.
That's the one I'm actually looking at, funny enough, right now.
There you go. But
make
sure you choose the right class for you and goods and services. So every class is built up of something called goods and services, and that's what you want to choose for you. So you need to obviously look into that yourself, you know. So that would be an example what you'd put as the series there, you know, if it was John Doe. I'll put it in the chat, you know.
So would you just finally, so would you deed poll your name first before doing the registered trademark, or back to front?
So I talked about this on one of my calls on the website. Now I won't say too much, but what happens is I looked into the Royal Courts of Justice, right?
Yes.
And what I found out is the Royal Courts of Justice isn't who we think they are. They've changed.
Right.
They're working as Her Majesty's Courts and Tribunals now, and they have something called a trade style. And that trade style is working as the Royal Courts of Justice. And I, you know, Carl and I, obviously we don't see eye to eye on this, but I believe you can't write to a trade style because it doesn't exist. You know? So anything on the document may not be correct. Now, obviously I can't, you know that for 100% because they're doing it, obviously. But any time I look into something called a trade style, and if you write to a trade style, so for example, you'll see that with plumbing companies, you know, this is John Doe trading as XYZ Plumbing, you know, they're using a trade style. And if you write to that XYZ Plumbing, you know, no matter any notice you send is not legally valid. So you need to be careful when you're using this type of thing. So just food for thought, you know, I won't say much more on it, but certain things have been discovered. So I'm not so sure anymore what's going on, you know. They seem to be fooling us left, right, and center.
Yeah, they're
Same
changing
with
it up.
HMRC. You know, HMRC is a trade style. You know, it's called,
that's true.
So if you write to HMRC, they're going to ignore it, or any notice you send to HMRC is going to be void because that doesn't exist.
Exactly. That's right. There's no living men and women.
And it's the same if you get these death notices, you know, always look at the small print. What's the actual company name compared to what's written all over a document, you know? So when you're writing this notice, you don't want to write it to the wrong entity that doesn't exist. You want it to be valid, right?
There you go. That's right. That's right. Brilliant. Brilliant stuff, man. Brilliant stuff. Very practical. Love it. Thank you very much, brother. Yeah,
hi.
man.
Owen, hi. Bottom left corner to unmute yourself.
That's hi, Tegan. Can you hear me?
Because they'll be sleeping.
Hello?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. I think most of the questions were just answered, but the thing I was wondering about, it was the copyright, yes? The trademark.
So, copyright's different to a trademark, right? So copyright's like your intellect is like your written work or something like that. So when you write a notice, that could be considered your copyright, or you're writing a book or something like that. That's copyright. Well, the trademark is the intellectual property. They look at it differently, right? So it's like a phone. It's intangible. You can't, you know, hold a trademark, but it's there. It's the property, right? So if they're writing the name, the mark on the invoice, they're violating, for example, it could be the Fraud Act 2006, fraud by gain and loss, for an example, right? So they're taking the company profit, you know, your company property for their profit and to the detriment of your company. So that means your company's losing money, their company's earning money with your property, but there's no contract in play because you own it. There would have to be a contract for them to use it, right? And these are the type of things you need to look into.
Yeah, because I looked at sorry for saying copyright. I mean, trademark. Am I getting it right? No, I didn't mean to say copyright, but as I say, it was trademark. I looked at it and I realized what you're saying because I couldn't work it out at first. And I was looking at it and I saw the series. And then I realized that is it 3 series you have? They give you 2 and then you can buy 1?
I recommend doing the 3 one. So there's like an additional £50 cost when you do that.
Yes.
But it just gives you that peace of mind. You're already forking out that money.
Yes.
Right. You know, not everyone can afford that, and that's absolutely fine. But if you can't afford it, I would recommend doing the all uppercase and the upper lowercase, because it's very unlikely someone's going to write in all lowercase. It's more likely they're going to write in the all uppercase and the upper lowercase, right?
Yes.
And always trademark the name and how you're getting the mail, right? And then anything else is not the name that you want to use, right? So you want to force them to breach that name rather, right?
Right.
Don't accept anything. For example, if you get something called John Doe or JD, that's an acronym or an abbreviation. You don't know what that is.
Yeah.
How many names start with J? How many names start with D? You know, beginning with that. And then what language are they speaking? You don't know. So when you mix and match that, the probability of knowing or guessing what that is very, very low. You know, you're talking billion to 1, maybe more ratio, right?
Absolutely.
So people are using their ego and saying, yeah, that's me, but it's not you. You don't know who that is. So disconnect from the name.
Yes.
And that's what I've noticed with the HMRC since I've trademarked and done the limited company. They write to me in an abbreviated name now instead of using my name.
Right. So you just ignore that one.
How can I know what that is?
Absolutely.
For example, there could be 1,500 names that start with D. Just as I'm not saying that now, that's just a number I picked out of my head. But if there was, right, or sorry, with J, and then there could be another 1,500 with D, and then you mix and match that, and that's only interpreting English. How many other languages could that be? And you don't know.
Absolutely.
So you
yes.
got to be very careful. Just because you think you can read something and understand it doesn't mean you know what language that's in. Is that legalese language? That's totally different language. It's a different dictionary. You have to be legally qualified to understand that dictionary. Is it in sign language? Again, that's another dictionary. Are you qualified to read sign language? So just because you think you can read something doesn't mean you actually understand it.
Correct. That is right. Is right.
And so, this is where they're fooling us, you know?
Mm-hmm. So you do your you have a website called Claim Your Name Back. Is that correct?
Claim your real name, yeah.
Right, because then you can join and be a member. Okay, is that right?
Yeah. So what I do is like, for example, with the champion ones, every 2 weeks we got a Q&A or a workshop. I'll normally do a workshop like this, and I'll go through stuff. Like, for example, if I get a debt notice, I'll go through it and I'll point out, like, look how they did the trade style. Look what they did here, you know. And I'll point out how to look for stuff, or I'll give updates on HMRC and these types of things, you know. And it's all saved on the website as well. You can view them all. I teach you how to invoice, how to check the companies, you know, how to, well, what happens with the council, all these types of things, you know, depending on what you want.
Yeah, because I've noticed that my council, they've got quite a few names that are limited.
And yeah, but are they also using a trade style? So when you're giving them a cease and desist notice, don't, same with everyone, I just talked to Vula and all them tomorrow, be careful you're not giving the cease and desist to the trade style, right?
Okay, yep.
So because in my opinion, it's useless. It's not effective. You want to be holding the actual company entity and the shareholders and the persons of significant control liable, right?
Well,
after the debt collectors, I teach this on the website, how to go after them effectively, you know. And for example, there's been major successes. I don't know if Sandy's on the call now. Maybe she's there. She's had quite a few successes sending out notices, you know, telling people to go away. And, you know, she had a bit of fun with it. And they did go away, hopefully. I haven't heard anything since then, but, you know, I do it all the time. I send things, you know, go away, leave me alone. And people leave you alone then, you know.
Yes.
Obviously, you don't know who they are. They're just having fun, you know. I'm sure if I sent an invoice out to every person on the registered in England or something, I'm sure someone would pay it eventually. It's a pretty good scam they're going, you know. Especially the old and vulnerable, you know. Think, oh, I actually owe this.
I hear what you say. Yeah, because I think they made a mistake and sent me their limited company information.
Yeah, so what I would do is if they have that, I would just still be wary. Get the company number that they have normally on the bottom of the document.
Yes.
Go on Gov search for companies, you know, you can type it in Google, search company in UK, you know, and then it'll say search by company number. You can get the directors, the persons of significant control, their registered business address. And that way, it doesn't matter what the notice or the letter they sent you said, look there and send it there.
I realize that, yeah. I realize that because it's like there was a debt collector. They sent me, they came, I removed them, and then I sent a DSAR out to them. And funnily enough, the DSAR came from a holding company.
There you go. Yeah. There you go.
Yep. Holding company.
So this is where you have to be careful. And then you want to, you know, how are they using your information? How are they machine learning? You know, how are they knowing to contact you as an AI thing? All these types of things you want to think about, you know?
Yes. So what I did, I sent the holding company a DSAR also.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you do. Yeah.
Right.
And then, you know, cease and desist because you're not giving them property, or sorry, you're not giving them permission to use your property, you know, so that's the cease and desist. And then, you know, if they don't comply, then you can report them. And then once that's successful, then you can do, if you wanted, for example, a money claim online, a small claims thing, you know. Yeah. And it's very easy to do these things. I don't think people realize how easy it is to fill this out. Like the government website literally tells you step by step what to do.
Yeah, because I've just sent my first letter of claim to my council because they breached the GDPR.
Okay.
And
have it in writing. I'd also report it to the commissioner. So why not double attack? You know, like
I've sent the commissioner,
but then also the commissioner.
I've sent the commissioner a pack of all the information that we've traded with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So they said about 6 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, it takes some time. They're very busy. There's a lot of breaches going on at the moment, so they're very, very busy with it. You know.
Yes, but I've initiated the letter of claim already.
Oh, amazing! Well, you can do that. That's not a problem. But you also, you know, get the commissioner to do it as well.
Okay, so I've done this letter of claim. So do I wait the 6 weeks for the commissioner to get back to me, or can I do the NIP?
The letter of claim, you've sent it out to the court, I'm guessing, right? You've done a money claim online or something, is it?
Well,
so what happens is before you have to send them your intent to claim, right? You have to follow procedure, I believe.
Yes, that's what I intend to do, yes.
Yeah, and then once they don't comply with that, then you can file a claim, from my understanding.
Okay, yeah, well, I'm on that road anyhow, that path.
Yeah, there's no harm, right? Absolutely no harm. If you have it in writing that they breached it. Yeah.
Okay, so
you know, well done for getting that information.
Okay, yeah. All right. Well, thanks for your help. I'll be getting
no problem.
know you.
What you do is, if you are doing a claim like that, reference other GDPR cases, because they're all available online. You know, like where, you know, just search GDPR cases. You know, someone sued XYZ. Reference those cases in your claim.
Okay, I will do that.
A lot of the time, it's simple. You know, they take your property without your permission and they use it, and then, you know, you're seeking remedy.
Yes, but yeah. So I said that's my next step, and then I'm going to be looking into, as I said, the trademark. Get that sorted out before the end of the month, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Oh, good on you. Well done.
Okay, thanks for your advice.
No problem, Owen. Obviously, make your own decisions. You know, I'm not legally qualified to give legal advice here. You have to make your own decision as an adult.
I'm not taking it as legal advice. I will never take it as legal advice.
But just be sure it's what you want to do, right?
Yes.
That's I think where people go wrong. You know, just because someone says something or posts something, make sure it's right for you. And if you want to challenge me, absolutely, please, absolutely, go for it.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for your help. I'm still listening. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem, buddy.
Cheers.
Was there any other questions?
Greetings, Tegan. Can you hear me?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm excellent, Tegan. How about you?
Yeah, I'm very good.
Just a little bit of thing what's been going on in the background. You know, like every time they write a debt collection notice from one of these debt companies or a court claim, you always have a little number on it. It could be all numeric, or it could be alphanumeric. They're actually writing a security against that case, and all they're wanting you to do then is to confirm who you are. At that point, they can then trade that security.
Yeah, it's the same with the mortgages and stuff. That's what's a double dipping, right?
Yeah, but that's with everything. A road traffic stop.
Of course, not fraud, of course, but that's what they're doing, and that's what they're getting away with, unfortunately, you know.
Well, if it's reported to the SEC, because it's also data protection breach, if it's reported to the SEC, they will do something about it, like they did in 2008. We reported a securities fraud to SEC, and they shut the courts down in England.
Yes.
SEC did that from America.
Well, 1 second. So FCC is Federal Communications Commission. Is that what you're talking about?
No. Securities Commission. No, it's not. It's international securities. It's not.
What's the correct name?
Securities and Exchange Commission.
Fiduciary.
I don't know that word.
Yeah, it's banks. It's all to do with banks, right? Finance.
So you mean the FCA, like the Financial Conduct Authority? Because America is very different.
It's not the FDA.
Because American law, you can't.
It's not American law. It's international law.
You can't bring that into UK. I don't care what people say. I've never seen a case.
It's not American law. It's international law.
Okay, but what's the body you're saying? I'm sorry, I just want to check it now.
It's SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission in America. It governs financial transactions all over the world.
But for US companies, right?
No, it's not the US Central. I keep telling people that. It's not US Central. People have got a big bugbear about US. Hold on a minute. Who wrote their...
it states on their website it's US only, right? So when I go on their website...
No, it doesn't. Go on their website.
Securities market. So in England, it's the Financial Conduct Authority that does it in England.
No, it's not. Why do you keep playing their game?
Yeah, it's the IMF. It's the International Monetary Fund.
Yes, so that's again a private investment company, right?
Right, but it runs everything.
They're not a treaty or anything. So they're a big group of collaborative companies, right? Or investors that own the right?
If you report securities fraud to them, they will do something about it.
No, so the IMF is totally different, right? So the IMF is like the monetary fund, right? Where you get loans or they lend money at exorbitant prices to countries. So, for example, when the pigs, Portugal, Ireland, Greece, Spain collapsed, they all went in an IMF bailout, right? So those countries, yeah. And then the Irish and the Spanish and all them, they can't even pay the debt, interest on the debt, right? So they're going to be debt slaves the rest of their lives, those countries, right? But that's nothing to do with an exchange committee, right? So they're a private company loaning the money. Now you have international laws that govern, which England has signed up to, but that's governed by the FCA. So the Financial Conduct Authority oversees the financial markets, and that includes the security trading. If you're investing, brokers, and they also enforce to ensure markets operate fairly, they say, right? So if you're looking at the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission, the SEC, right? That's different.
How did the Securities and Exchange Commission, if they're not in control of our courts, how did they shut them down in 2000?
How are they in control of our courts? Explain that one, sorry.
Sorry? How are they shut them down in 2008?
So you're talking about the Clearfield doctrine, right? So we're all
they were trading securities without a license. That's what they got shut down for.
In America.
No.
Yeah. I'm going to argue with you. It's in America.
You can argue with me.
But he means it's worldwide because that's all that they pay anyway. When the bank pays a bill for you, they pay just with that security interest.
Yeah. So securities is like a bond, right? I think you're getting confused. So anyone...
The courts were writing bonds then, and they're still writing bonds now.
1 second. You got securitized paper, right? And that's how they create the security, right? The bond. So your birth certificate or your certified copy of an entry is printed on securitized paper, like a bond. And that's why the number changes every time you get a new one, because they're creating a stock out of it, right?
The number changes is because it's part of a raffle book. The CUSIP number, which is tied to from the beginning, never, ever, ever changes.
No, no. 1 second. You're confusing entities. When they're creating a bond or a security on securitized paper, that's why the number changes. Everyone is different.
Doesn't change.
You're confusing the entities.
That's like saying you've got a bank account, and every time you write a check, it's a different bank account number. That's what you just said.
How is that different?
No.
I explained it. No, 1 second. Let him explain. Clarify what you just said. That makes no sense.
Exactly. What you're making not making sense. Your account number has a CUSIP number attached to it. Everybody's account number.
Keep on target. You're going all over the place. We're talking
no, I'm not.
Bonds,
no, I'm not.
Securitized instruments on paper, right? What you're talking about a bank account?
No, your account with your birth certificate is like a bank account. It's not any different.
You mean like the SQV? Is that what you're now?
No, there's lots of different trusts, but your initial birth certificate, the certificate, not the long form, but Tegan keeps referencing. Well, there's two. I know all this I've done. I've authenticated both of them all the way up, and if they weren't real, they wouldn't have put the names on them to say that they're authentic. Just think about that for a second, right? That number on that CUSIP never ever changes, and I've got multiple copies of mine, and it's the same number. I've got people get multiple copies, all of theirs, and it's the same CUSIP number.
What do you think a CUSIP is? What's your definition of a CUSIP?
I can't remember the exact definition. I'd have to look it up, but it was initiated in 1964 for tracking securities.
So you're talking about a Committee on Uniform Securities and Identification Procedures, right? CUSIP, right? Yeah. So a CUSIP,
public
number, right? It uniquely represents a specific financial instrument. That's what we're talking about. A bond, right? So when a corporation issues a bond, that bond will have a unique CUSIP number. You're saying it never changes. That's not correct.
I'll tell you the proper meaning for CUSIP, shall I now? I've just reached over and grabbed my folder. It's Committee on Uniform Securities identifying the principle.
No, you've mistaken all this. I need you should go back and look at all this again.
You're funny.
Yeah, you go look it up, Badrock. I have the bank stuff in
front of me. Really funny, because I can tell you now exactly what it means. It's Committee on Uniform Securities identifying the principle, like I've been trying to tell you all along. That number, that number never ever changes. It's nothing to do with your SETAKV account or anything. They're all add-ons.
Said your bank account.
The CUSIP number is a bank.
It's the bond number that's issued. What are you saying?
It's your account number. It's an account number. You've got to get through into your head. It's an account number.
Bank account number. I don't agree with you on that. I work in finance. A CUSIP is not a bank account number.
No, you don't work in finance because if you worked in finance, you won't be talking about bankruptcy because that is a complete pulling over people's eyes.
Stay on topic. We're talking about CUSIPs.
I am staying on topic because
bankruptcy when we're talking about CUSIPs.
Right. Well, it's all about paper. There is no money.
No.
Lowering money is just bullshit.
We're talking about CUSIPs. We're not talking about paper money or anything.
Tying yourself in knots.
We're trying to keep this on track, right? We have to stay focused.
Yeah.
Okay.
When did CUSIP start then? Without having to look it up. When did CUSIP start?
You are saying what about a CUSIP?
When did they start issuing CUSIP numbers?
I don't know. I need to check that. But what are you saying about CUSIPs now?
You said 1964.
I did, and that's correct. That's when they started. They started issuing CUSIP numbers. They did issue numbers on birth certificates before that, but that was when they tied them into an account.
So birth certificates of bond printed on securitized paper. What do you think that number is?
Well, the CUSIP.
It is a CUSIP.
Yeah, the CUSIP.
One second. A CUSIP track and identify securities on the financial markets. I work in finance. I know exactly what it is. It doesn't tie directly to a bank account. It connects through an investment account, and those securities are held in that investment account. So the link between your investment account and the bank account allows you to transfer funds, such as dividends, if you have interest, or a sale of your proceeds.
You're talking about the
securities.
Yeah, you're talking about the public secondary market. I'm not talking about that at all.
What they are. I think you need to go reread what they are and come back and talk to me.
No, you're talking about the secondary market, which I'm not talking about at all.
I think you need to go check what the are again and come back and talk with me.
I've no need to go back to anything.
Okay. In the conversation here, because it's not being productive at this
So
point.
have you actually...
Is there anyone else that has a question? Anyone at all?
That's really rude, Tegan.
Is there anyone else that has a question? No?
That's really rude, Tegan, cutting people off.
I don't care. Okay. So we're going to end it here. Badva can go research what a CUSIP is, and then we can have a discussion later, because what he's saying is not correct, and he can listen to the recording back about what you said it is. It will be made public, and then you can listen back to it.
Times you
You can go listen back to it.
Mate, you're
if you're going to be rude like that, we'll remove you. Okay. So what we're going to say is, I will put the link on the True Talk Telegram. Thank you, everyone, for coming out here today. I appreciate it. And
it was amazing. Tegan, it was amazing. Thank you so much.
No problem. Glad you enjoyed it. As I said, I'll put this up. It'll be free for everyone to watch, so don't worry about that. And thanks, everyone. Now, apologies about that at the end.
Thank you very much.
Information going on these recordings, because I don't know who sees them, and someone's going to say something further down the line. And it's important that everything we say is correct.
Oh, man. Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
Thanks,
thank you.
Thank you, Tegan.
Bye-bye.